Team Jackson, what's happening? So, I just got sent this post by a guy by the name of I Am DeVale on Instagram. Found it really interesting, man. It's a little lengthy, but it's good, so stick with me while I read it. It says, men are socially conditioned to hide emotions because too much sharing is a sign of weakness. Just man up and learn how to deal on your own. That's why it's easier for us to just disconnect when we're unhappy in any situation. But that doesn't mean we don't feel. Many of us really don't know how to share until it manifests itself in the form of resentment. This is the one thing that haunts Cadenium, I believe that's his wife's name, and I still to this day. I hate that feeling as if I'm nagging or pleading for the things I need in our relationship, so I just let them go till they build up. It's a work in progress on both ends. So I have a question. When was the last time you told him you appreciated him? Did something for him just because you knew he liked it? Told him thank you, said you were happy, made him feel special. Showed him he was still important. Believe it or not, these things are important to men, even if they don't say it to you. Men will say it to other men all the time. Shawty was at her best when she was trying to be wifey, but now she wifey. And I agree wholeheartedly, and what he's talking about, I've seen usually occur with women who got so used to Mr. Wrong and all these guys that didn't deserve them that whenever they came across Mr. Right, the Mr. Right that they had previously ran from, they didn't know how to handle him. And it's possible as a woman to fully have every capability of providing value to a man that would benefit any man and still not know how to handle a man or a good man. As a matter of fact, I think that comes natural to y'all. If not comes natural, y'all been groomed for a relationship from such a young age. It seems that way. But the thing is, you can get so used to doing this and that for all these dudes that don't deserve it that you get accustomed to operating from that place of needing and wanting so badly in return, which you give abundantly of yourself. So that's all you know. That's all you're familiar with. And the thing is, okay, when you come across that guy that pours into your cup until it runneth over, then what are you going to do? Because so many women get used to lack and pain in a relationship that when they don't have those two things to pull from, they don't know what to do. So they sabotage the relationship by creating something wrong when there is no issue so they can have what they're most familiar with, all that dysfunction, or they do absolutely nothing, aka they get complacent. And man or woman, complacency will never keep a cup that's pouring into you, ever. And one thing that good and bad men both have in common is that they have requirements for the women that they're going to deal with. Of course, the difference is bad men will run a woman into the ground, burn her all the way out while requiring those things. But that's not to say that a good man doesn't have his requirements. A good man still needs his woman to be a place that he can be vulnerable with. And safely so. And that's not to say, be my peace. No, he'll create his own peace, but he needs you to do the work on yourself so that you're not a threat to that peace. Or even worse, a thief of that peace without him doing anything wrong to warrant that. A good man will step outside of his comfort zone so he can speak your love language and make you feel fulfilled in a relationship as you should be. But he's going to need you to be equally open to speaking his love language, even if it's outside of your comfort zone. Instead of calling the words of affirmation that he needs, looking for a pat on the back for things you're supposed to do. Sound familiar? So this is for married women or single women or women in a relationship who either already know the guy or feel like there's a guy out there that's going to be worth marrying. Any woman out there who feels like there's a blessing out there with their name on it. I need you to hear me and hear me well. That blessing will take your name off of him if you don't hold up your end of the bargain. Watch your toes. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.
Okay. All right. You guys send me so many Derek Jackson videos to comment on that when new people come to my channel, they're like, do you only respond to Derek Jackson videos? Oh goodness, you got a few of you sent this to me and wanted my point of view on it, and I'm like, well, Derek Jackson already spoke. He gave his point of view, but you guys want, okay. So let me just give my intro. I'm Tonya TKO, self-love specialist and relationship expert from TonyaTKO.com. And I hope you learn to love yourself and each other. Now, there's some parts of what he said that I agree with and other parts that I don't agree with. And Derek Jackson, just like many men, they feel like women, just like how he was talking about women are groomed to be in relationships. No, women are groomed into service. So they're groomed into, how do I put this? I don't really know how to put this, but women are groomed into, playing with the doll babies and cooking. And some of our parents teach us how to cook and how to clean, and we do all of this for the sake of keeping house and keeping home, etc. However, human beings are groomed into how they're going to participate in relationship, but from watching the relationship of their parents, from seeing how their mother was courted, from trying to court their mother themselves in the same way that the courting parent courted their mother. Because children are, every child wants the love of their mother. So they look at how father or whoever the mother is the partner with, whether it's the second mother or whomever, how that person courts the mother. So if your mother was shy and reserved and pulled back, then you'll learn to go forward. If your mother was the one who gave forth and and did all of this pouring, then you learn to be reserved and just receive that attention from your mother. But we're in this relationship with the romantic style that exists inside the house. Also, there's a relationship that we have with the other parent and whether or not that parent was there. And then there's this thing called attachment theory, and whether or not we have a style which is evolved from being abandoned or wanting to prove ourselves or whatever the case may be. Look into attachment theory. So we have these relationship styles that are created from a lot of different factors. And so the title of his video was basically how doing so much for Mr. Wrong can actually take away from when Mr. Right comes. And I'm like, from what it is that I know about relationships, right? And remember when we talked about attachment theory? People don't quote unquote change us. There are things that happen that amplify what's already there. There's a programming that exists so that when we have this mirror in front of us, we respond back to what's mirroring back to us by altering our behavior in response to something that we see already that's inside of us. So people don't make us neglectful. The fact that we poured out into relationships where the person wasn't pouring back in, that doesn't mean that we were, quote unquote, pouring into Mr. Wrong. It's like we were in a situation in which our patterns, habits, belief system, and all of that was mirrored back to us from that situation. And that situation may not have been functional. It may have been a dysfunctioning situation in which we, in response to that dysfunction, then decided to pour out. I mean, if you really think about it, it's like a relationship is like the tango. I remember when I went and I took dance lessons, it's like you have to be led even backwards. So you have to be led backwards, and then you have to have this relationship with the person that you're dancing with. And in relationship, one person, nobody is ever on the like, if you think about a line in the middle of the relationship, you're never at the, like in the beginning of the relationship when dopamine is high and oxytocin is flowing, it may seem like you're here. But then after you get into the relationship, one person goes this way and the other person goes and gets them back. And then it flows and then it flows. So if you're in a relationship with a person who is stepping over onto the line to court you on your side of the line, naturally you're going to pull back until they pull back onto the other side of the line. So it's like, was it ever that she was quote unquote pouring into Mr. Wrong? Or was it that was a situation that existed uniquely in each relationship where in response to a man who did not meet you halfway, that you continue to go over? So if you did have a man who met you halfway or came over into your side, there was no reason for you to feel. Remember we talked about passion. The feeling of passion is something that really... The feeling of passion is something that magnifies by the thought of losing a person or not being sure whether or not a person is going to be in this situation. So for all of us who have ever been in a relationship where you feel that person slipping away, you know that it inspires you to so many things. It inspires you to poetry. It inspires you to song. It inspires you to go out there and buy little gifts for this person, to take trips and to do these things because you're attempting to hold on to something that feels like it's slipping through your fingers. So if that thing is not slipping, and then there's some things that he says that I agree with. That that there are women who may run from a quote unquote Mr. Right type of situation because they just didn't really know how to handle it. It just didn't feel natural to them. So there's some women who are just so used to getting a man to try to hold on to his attention because maybe her father wasn't there, or that's the way, her mother behaved or whatnot, however the case may be, right? So it's like, so there's some things that I agree with, and other things that I'm like, well, this is about far more than just Mr. Right. This is about our programming. So yes, men need that acknowledgement. They need that. Listen, when they say that men are dogs, first of all, wolves mate for life. Right? But if you're talking about just the common dog on the street, I would say that in so many ways, men are kind of like pups, where they need to be trained and they need to be acknowledged. Like if you want a man to really just flourish in that relationship, give him some claps and some kudos and teach him what it is that you like. Like a man is going to work so hard for your accolade. He's going to work so hard to hear good job, or you saved me, or you're my hero. He's going to work so hard for that. And so ladies, I would say that one thing that Derek Jackson said that I do agree with, that there's work that we need to do on ourselves. If you see that you're in a relationship that could be functional and you're bored by the relationship, you're turned off, you're whatever the case may be, there may be some need for some healing in there. If there was a person that you liked and really cared for until they started liking and caring for you, then you started getting a little turned off, you may need to really step into some therapy sessions and work one-on-one with a therapist who can really help you unpack some of that old programming. Because it's like, we don't know that we're operating under the program while the program is running. It's like, we don't know. And so it's like, you have to, if you can step outside of the program to see that there's a program running, then you're not under the influence of the program, and you have a chance. You have a chance to be able to alter the program. And even when you see that there's a program running, it's still running as you're seeing it. It's the way that you operate. So there's going to be a need to go back in there and fine tune and just tweak. Because yes, of course, your partner needs love and care and all of these things. He needs that. We're going to be talking about cheating coming up in the next video series. And so that's one of the things, like having a healthy, functioning relationship. But first, it takes really going inside and doing some of that work on yourself. So on that note, listen, I'm going to get out of here. I want to hear your thoughts below. Continue to send me videos for comment, and we'll just continue to just crank these out. I want to hear your point of view below and how you feel about this. I don't personally feel that Mr. Wrong changes a woman. I believe that he amplifies what's already there and what needed to come up for healing anyway. The fact that she chose a quote unquote Mr. Wrong and was pouring into that relationship and that person in the first place. So on that note, I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna let you all comment below, and I look forward to hearing what it is that you have to say. Tonya TKO, and I'm out. Peace. Go out there and love one another, but most importantly, what? That's right. Love yourself. Peace.